Alright, comic fans, welcome back to 13th Dimension Comics. Today is going to be part 2 of my Amazing Spider-Man collections video series that I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just going through my entire Amazing Spider-Man collection. And I'm just showing you all the books. They do a part 1, I strongly suggest you check that out. There's a lot of really great Amazing Spider-Man books in there, very early issues. This is going to be part 2. But before we get started, I'm going to show another book first that is Amazing Spider-Man related, but it's not part of the actual first series, and that is going to be Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. Now this is, I believe, the very first crossover issue of DC and Marvel where Superman and Amazing Spider-Man meet. I don't know that there was a DC Marvel character crossover before that. This is a really great issue. As you can see, it's very large in comparison to a regular size comic book. Go ahead and hold up a regular. You can see it's a much larger comic book than a normal comic book would be. It's more of a magazine size. I believe they call these treasury editions. This is a really great comic book. The only reason I'm showing this is because it actually does say Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man, and this is a video series of my Amazing Spider-Man collection. So went ahead and figured I'd show you this one first before we get into the actual Amazing Spider-Man series. So it's a really great one. This is Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. Alright. So up next, so the last one that I showed in the last video was actually this. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 30. So the next one I have for the first comic book for this video is going to be the Amazing Spider-Man number 32. This does have a story by Stan Lee and art by Steve Ditko. This actually does have Dr. Octopus story where he, I believe, poisoned Aunt May, and Spider-Man is trying to get a cure so he can help her out and obviously try to save her life. I would say this is probably in a 4.5 to a 5 grade. There's really not too much damage, as you can see. The cover here, actually very nice. Not a lot of damage to it, so I would say it's a 4.5 to 5 maybe. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 32. Alright, up next we have a copy of the Amazing Spider-Man number 33. It's a very classic cover. They actually homaged this cover in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. To some degree, he was actually wearing his homemade suit as opposed to his actual Spider-Man suit, but everything else was pretty spot on as far as the issue and the story and the cover itself actually happening. So this is Amazing Spider-Man number 33. This is also a story by Stan Lee, art by Steve Ditko, and it's just a classic cover. This one's in actually really, really good shape. I would say this is probably a 7, maybe even 7.5, might even get an 8, because there's like very little spine damage. There's no Marvel chipping at all. Just a really beautiful copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 33, and I just think this is just one of the greatest Spider-Man covers ever. This is just awesome. I just love it. Up next, we actually have the second appearance of the Molten Man in Amazing Spider-Man number 35. This, I would say, is probably a 3.5, maybe a 4. It's not too much damage. Don't think the colors pop as much as they should. Probably a little bit of fading, maybe even a little bit of color, discoloration on it here and there, in the greens especially. But I just love this cover. I love the green on it. You can see this is really nice. It's a very nice copy. But just because of what I probably think is a little bit of discoloration on it, I would probably give it a 3.5. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 35. Alright. Up next we have a very nice copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 39. This is a story by Stan Lee, I believe art by, I'm going to say John Romita Jr. took over here. I think Steve Ditko stopped at 38. So I think this is John Romita Jr., story by Stan Lee. This is actually the issue where the Green Goblin and Spider-Man learn each other's identities. This is just a classic issue, great cover. This is in really good shape. I would say this is probably a 5, 5.5 even. This is a nice mid-grade copy. Might actually grade a little bit higher, but I would always rather downgrade it. And that way when I send it to CGC, it comes back, I don't get disappointed. So yeah, I always like to downgrade a little bit. So I don't sell any of my comics, so it's not going to really affect me in that way. But yeah, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 39. Right. So this is the Amazing Spider-Man number 42. This is a classic issue where at the end you finally get to see Mary Jane Watson, and she says that classic line, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." This is a really nice copy. I would say it's probably in maybe a 4, around there. There is a little bit of damage to the top, a little bit of spine wear to it, as you can see. There's some spine wear. You can see the damage on the top, but overall, it's a very nice copy. This is again story by Stan Lee, art by John Romita Jr. And this is Amazing Spider-Man number 42. Alright. Up next we have a classic yellow cover featuring the Lizard, and this is Amazing Spider-Man number 45. It's a nice copy. This is also Stan Lee's story, John Romita art, and this is number 45 of the Amazing Spider-Man. Nice yellow cover with the Lizard on it. Spider-Man looking like he's stuck in some kind of a web. Just a really nice copy, really nice cover. That's Amazing Spider-Man number 45. Up next, we have a very nice copy of the first appearance of the Shocker. And this is Amazing Spider-Man number 46. Herman Schultz, the Shocker's first appearance. This is a very nice copy. I would say this is probably a 6, 6.5 maybe. Not a lot of wear to it at all. The spine is very nice. See, it's a very classic cover. This is the first appearance of Herman Schultz, the Shocker, and this is Amazing Spider-Man number 46. Alright. So up next we have a nice copy of the Amazing Spider-Man number 51. This is the first cover appearance of the Kingpin. I did show this video in my cover appearance, first cover appearance challenge video that I released a few days ago. I'm going to go ahead and show this to you as well. This is the Amazing Spider-Man number 51. This one I would say this would probably grade about a 2.5, maybe a 3. I mean, you can't really tell from far away, but there was a tape tear right here, and the tape was just placed back over it to prevent the tearing from getting any worse. You can see the cover. So this is Amazing Spider-Man number 51. So up next we have one of my favorite Spider-Man covers. This is the Amazing Spider-Man number 52. I just love the cover. I just love the way that the reds and the blues of his suit, just the way they colored it is just great. I know his suit is always red and blue, but for some reason this one just really stands out. The webbing just really stands out on the red. I just love it. I think it's a great cover. So this is Amazing Spider-Man number 52. You can see it's in really good shape. Obviously it's not a super high grade, but I wouldn't grade it really low. I would probably grade it at about maybe a 5, maybe even a 5.5. The only real issue is the major amount of creasing in the top corner there, but other than that, it's in really, really good shape. So I wouldn't grade it too low. Right, up next, we have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 53. This is a relatively decent copy. I would say it's probably about just because of the corner right here, and the one on the bottom being rounded off a little bit. I would say this is probably a 3.5, maybe a 4. But overall, it displays really nicely. It looks really nice. I do hope to get all of these graded at some point, but I'm just a little hesitant to send stuff off to CGC. I have a couple books that have been at CGC for probably about 5 or 6 months now, and I'm just waiting on them to finally grade them and come sending them back to me. So probably won't send anything off until I make sure I actually get those back. I have seen a lot of videos with some pretty bad stories about CGC damaging comic books, CGC sending the wrong comic books back to people, so kind of hesitant to send any of these off until I make sure I get those back first. But moving on, we got the next one is Amazing Spider-Man number 54. This is a really classic cover. Now this is a lower grade copy. This is probably a 2.5 maybe, because there's a lot of damage to the spine. There's some tearing up here at the top, you can see. And then, like I said, you can just see that there's a pretty decent amount of spine damage, spine wear. Now it isn't, the spine isn't, the cover's not detached, it's still attached to the book, but there's a lot of damage to it, so that's why I would give it the grade I would give it. But this is Amazing Spider-Man number 53. No, 54, mine, sorry. Number 54. Alright. Up next we have Amazing Spider-Man number 55. This is a lower grade copy as well, but I do like the fact that it actually has these, what look to be 6-pence stamps on it. Now they stamped it quite a bit. Not sure why they put so many stamps, but it does have quite a few stamps, but I kind of like the stamps on it, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind getting a higher grade copy than this, but I probably wouldn't sell this one either, just because I do like having it with the stamp, so I'll probably go ahead and keep both copies, but eventually I do hope to upgrade it and get a higher copy than that. Up next is Amazing Spider-Man number 56. It's a decent copy. No real major damage to it, but it's probably still mid-grade at best. You know, maybe a 4, 4.5. You can see at the very top, there's quite a bit of wear to the corner, and then there's just a little bit of spine wear on it as well. But overall, it's not a bad copy to have. And a majority of these early Spider-Mans, especially in the 50s, I actually got when I was much younger. Probably when I was about 13 to 15 years old. There was a flea market, and they had a bookstore, and in the back of the bookstore was a area where they just had a bunch of comic books, and I would go there every weekend and just pick up a couple of issues of Amazing Spider-Man. So most of these I got for between $3 to $5 each, and I've just had them ever since. And that's probably been over 30 years at this point. But up next we have Amazing Spider-Man number 57. This actually features Kazar and Sabu, and I just think this is a really neat cover. Obviously this is a little bit of a lower grade copy because there is some spine damage to it. From what I can remember, I haven't opened it in quite a while, but from what I can remember, everything is still attached, but there's a lot of spine wear to it, a lot of spine damage. But I just like this cover. I wouldn't mind getting a better copy where this white part is actually really white. That would be great. That would be awesome to find a copy like that. Alright. And up next, we have a pretty nice copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 58. This has J. Jonah Jameson in his Spider Slayer suit. I believe he's not actually in the suit. I believe it's just a robot, and it's like a TV screen, video screen of him on the cover, on the face of the robot. But as you can see, the book's in relatively decent shape. I'd say this is probably a 5, 5.5 maybe. Doesn't have too much damage to it at all. All of these that I'm showing you are Stanley Stories and Steve Ditko art. Alright, up next we're going to go ahead and jump ahead a little bit. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make this the last one. So this is going to be Amazing Spider-Man number 63. Now this is definitely a very low grade copy. I would probably give this a 1.8, maybe a 2 at best. Now this does have the Vulture on it, as well as the second Vulture. But like I said, this has got a lot of damage. You got a lot of creasing down here, just various folds and creases. A crease going up here, tons of spine damage. So I'd say it's probably a 1.5. Maybe might get up to a 2, but I kind of doubt it. It'll probably be 1.5, maybe 1.8 at best. You can see the spine, got a lot of damage on it as well. So, alright, so we'll go ahead and stop the video there. So as before, I'm going to show you what the next one's going to be. The next one's going to be number 64, but we'll get into that at the next video. So as always, I do appreciate you joining me. Go ahead and take a few seconds, hit that subscribe button, go ahead and like the video if you like the video. Feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the video so far. Let me know what you think about the presentation, the background. Hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit better background for y'all pretty soon. I'm pretty sure the white wall back there isn't all that exciting, but I do hope to get a much more interesting background pretty soon. It's just going to take a minute to do that. But I do appreciate you joining me today. And as always, collect what you love. Thank you very much. And bye-bye.